The top story tonight, the Department of Corrections says work on that proposed prison in Franklin County has been on hold now for months. And a new funding request from the governor is also delaying any future plans. In a joint budget committee hearing today, lawmakers approved a request the state use funding originally for the prison to instead be used to expand current facilities. It's also prohibiting using the funds to build a prison in Franklin County at least through the June of next year. The project has not been brought up during the first 2 weeks of the fiscal session.
That's the indication we hear that Franklin County is not going to come up this session. And at least with the drafting of this other, moving this other, I think $73 million now, then, that seems to be the indicators are that they're going a different route.
Governor still says she believes the Franklin County project is the best way to expand prison capacity in the state, but her office is now exploring other options. Prosecutors in Fort Smith have filed a motion to drop a murder case against a suspect accused of killing 2 people at a nightclub last year in Fort Smith. Nepesh Rauch was arrested and charged with first-degree murder a day after the shooting. According to the state's motion, the suspect was identified by an eyewitness and picked out during a photo lineup. But the eyewitness later came back to the prosecutor's office, said the actual suspect was driving around town following and threatening her. She could not identify the person following her. 2 other eyewitnesses also could not identify the suspect. Well, now the prosecutors are aiming to drop Rauch's charges. He was convicted and sentenced, though, in a separate case earlier this month. Prosecutors say that and a lack of physical evidence is why his charges should be dropped. In Fayetteville, a 19-year-old has been arrested after police say he strangled and raped someone at a U of A fraternity house last month. Court documents say Crew Cavern met with the victim on Dixon Street before going to the Kappa Sigma house where he lived. Police say that's where the crime happened. Cavern now faces multiple charges of rape and aggravated assault. More details from police documents can be found on our website at 5newsonline.com. Fort Smith City directors tonight began discussing freezing water rates for those 65 years of age and older. Now, nothing is set in stone right now. In fact, the discussion tonight centered around if the city could even afford to do this.
Generally speaking, we spend more to deliver water than we charge people. You're looking at up to a $500,000, hit, if you will, to the expected revenue stream.
I think that, helping out our senior citizens is a fantastic idea. Our senior citizens, for the most part, particularly the ones that I know on the north side of town, are the users that use the less amount of water. So the amount of impact of savings might be minimal, but to them it might be substantial.
That rate freeze would only apply to bills associated with the primary residence and only for the first 1,000 gallons used. A new amendment to an Arkansas House bill is moving through the legislative committees. The measure would fund the State Department of Corrections and boost efforts to crack down on contraband cell phones in prisons. Catherine Rowley spoke with the bill sponsor about what's next.
We know we've got a problem here in Arkansas, and it's a public safety issue. As I described in committee, it's really a public safety crisis.
The 2-year pilot program costs $500,000 per year. The technology is mounted on a mobile unit and would be placed outside 2 of the state's largest prisons, the Varner unit and the Cummins unit. The goal is to use the signals coming from illegal phones to track them down.
Once it finds that signal and knows that's an illegal phone inside our prison system, it will not just suppress that signal, it terminates that signal, and it takes it about 20 minutes to do so. It's almost a process time for the Department of Corrections to be notified and go to the location.
Representative Dwight Tosh says that even when inmates are behind bars, criminal activity continues. And this is technology that could help stop it.
You've got racketeering, you've got drug trafficking, human trafficking, drugs, scams on our seniors. There's so much criminal activity being orchestrated from inside of our correctional facilities that, and they're in there for a reason.
While this technology would be new to Arkansas, other states have already seen big results.
They implemented this program about a year ago, and they've had huge success with it. Ended up being one of the largest RICO investigations, organized crime, and I think touched like 10 states.
That was Catherine Rowley reporting. Representative Tosh also says if the Department of Corrections can retrieve any voice or text messages, they can be used in investigations and turned over to local police agencies. The Arkansas Supreme Court is set to hear oral arguments in a lawsuit that involves the District 26 State Senate special election. You may remember Libertarian governor candidate Colt Shelby filed a suit challenging the timeline of that election. It was originally meant to happen this November, but public pushback led the governor to change the election to last month. Shelby says the timeline change was not enough and violated state election laws. He won in circuit court, and the state is now appealing it to the Supreme Court. They will hear oral arguments on May 21st. There's a new federal judge in Arkansas. The Senate confirming John Thomas Shepard as the new judge for the Western District of the state. Shepard previously served as prosecuting attorney and judge for the state's 13th Circuit Court. He is a U of A law school grad. President Trump nominated Shepard last year. Arkansas Senators Tom Cotton and John Bozeman both heavily supported that confirmation. Arkansas State Police have issued a new scam alert tonight, warning scammers have been impersonating as Internet Crimes Against Children Task Force officers. State police say several people have reported getting calls from people named Officer Jackson demanding a return call in connection with an alleged investigation. State police say the calls are not real. Troopers or the task force will never call you to tell you you're a subject of an investigation. State police say if you get a call, report it to police or the Attorney General's office. A first-of-its-kind nursing program taking shape right here in Arkansas. Tonight, the Arkansas Healthcare Association celebrated the first-ever graduating class from its School of Nursing. Tonight's ceremony was in Rogers. These are students who began as certified nursing assistants in long-term care facilities and now walking away with their licensed practical nursing degrees at no cost. 5 News reporter Lauren Spencer shows us how this unique program couldn't have come at a better time.
If pride had a sound, it would sound like this. 21 graduates, the first class from the Arkansas Healthcare Association School of Nursing, a program unlike any in the country.
This class is really special.
And Brandy Smith is one of them.
Long-term care is where our heart is.
She started as a CNA in 2011, worked her way up to medical assistant, and now she's adding 3 letters to her badge, LPN.
So no matter what, it was school was first, and you just made it happen with a positive attitude and know that you were making your dream come true.
This program was built with people like her in mind. Students continue working in their facilities while completing 10 months of school.
We are healthcare providers, and we see that the shortage of nurses is real. We also see that the aging population continues to grow.
They're aiming to meet people where they are, removing some typical barriers like tuition and work schedules.
We're trying something new and different, and we're excited and hopeful that it will make a difference.
Graduates will make an average of 70% more in wages with this new title.
We believe that this is going to be life-changing for these employees and their families.
For this inaugural class, they were pinned by a loved one of their choosing.
Rusty Carney.
For Brandy, that honor went to her best friend. A way to say thank you.
Every time I cried, she was like, "You can do this."
And for those who helped all 21 of these students along the way, that sound can be translated to, "I'm so proud of you." In Rogers, covering news where you live, Lauren Spencer, 5 News.
School also had graduations in Little Rock and Jonesboro this week for cohorts there. Now the students are set to sit in for their NCLEX soon. The nursing school says it has 24 students signed up in the Rogers cohort to start that next program in July.